Hey, Mommy. Welcome to the Mami Collective podcast. I'm Paulina Rowe, and this is your space, the No BS All Vibes podcast for ambitious moms who know that motherhood and big dreams go hand in hand. Whether you're killing it in the boardroom, hustling on your side gig, or just trying to get through the day without reheating your coffee for the third time, and yes, girl, we've all been there, this is the place for you. We're here to flip the script on the whole you can't have it all narrative, because spoiler alert, you can. Motherhood doesn't dim your ambition, it actually fuels it. And we're going to talk all about it, the wins, the struggles, and the moments that make you say, damn, I am really doing this. So buckle up, boo. We're diving into real talk, inspiration, and the occasional hot take to keep you fired up and thriving. This is the Mami Collective. Let's do this. Welcome to the Mami Collective. We're back with another episode, and I'm so excited for my guest today. I have spray tan artist, entrepreneur, mother, and I've got Isabel Alysa. Alysa. Oh my gosh. I was looking at your Instagram and I'm like, hello. No. Isabel Alysa is here. Dolce Glow. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm so good. And I'm so excited to finally chat with you. You are such an icon in like the spray tan world industry. And it's just so cool that I get to talk to you. And you're a mom. I didn't know that about you in the beginning. I was like, oh my God, a fellow mother in the spray tan.
I have a 10-year-old beautiful little girl. She's amazing. And but thank you so much for having me. I'm super honored to be here.
I'm so excited. And obviously, I mean, like not only just an amazing spray tan artist, but you also are an educator. Like you certified tons of spray tan artists all across the country, some here in Chicago who have actually spray tanned me. So when I told them that I was interviewing you, everyone was like, ah. And I was like, I know. So it's so exciting.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so honored, obviously, to be here and chat a little bit about, my journey and, be able to connect with you too. I think it's awesome. And I think it's so nice to have, podcasts now to where you can really share your story. And thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. So I kind of wanted to talk about your story, obviously, your motherhood journey as well. But first things first is I kind of want to get to know your story to the life you kind of had before spray tanning. I know when we were talking offline, like you mentioned, how life-changing it is and just a game changer for so many like moms, women, entrepreneurs, right? Beauty business owners, if they add that to their services, it can be such a game changer. So I want to kind of talk about your story and that moment that made you decide, like, I want to pick up a spray tan gun and give this a try. Like, where did that come from? How did that come to be?
Yeah, I think it's so amazing. I think about like my journey, obviously, and why I started. And that's why I love, again, teaching so much is because spray tanning completely changed my life. And I think, now for me to be in a place where I've learned so much and I've worked with some of the biggest influential people in the world, I've learned a lot. But spray tanning for me changed my life, right? And so for me, when I educate and train, I think of it, I put myself in the same shoes that student or that I was in, that for me, it was just to be able to support my family. And so a lot of people that I train now, they, it's that they just need a little extra cash to get by, or they want to be able to take their kids out on a vacation. Things are so expensive nowadays. So I feel like a side hustle is always needed. And that's kind of what it started out to be for me. Prior to that, obviously, I had left my foster home. I talk about that a lot at 17, and I was working the typical, teenage jobs, from being a janitor to working Jack in a Box. And then I was going to college part-time during that time. And then I landed an incredible job, actually. I was the executive director for the Society of Dermatology Physician Assistants. So I pretty much was the only non-paid employee for what is known as the SDPA. And I really learned a lot about skin and cancers and different skin conditions, just supporting the dermatologists and their board. And so from looking at all their continuing education and the back end stuff, which I really supported, that's where I really started to fall in love with skin.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people actually don't know that, which is a really cool thing. Wow. And then pretty much from there, I went into a little bit more of a marketing position. So I was there for about 4 years. And then I went into a marketing position for just insurance companies. And I was invited by my twin sister to get a spray tan, couldn't afford it. couldn't afford groceries, but I'm over here, I brought my $20 and she covered the rest. And I'll never forget the way that spray tan made me feel. Um, Not only was it a confidence booster, but it just made me feel better on the inside as well. And I felt like it took me out of this dark place. And that thought had crossed my mind. Well, what if I start doing this on the side and working my full-time job during the day? This could be like extra cash because I was barely getting by. That's when I was like renting a room in a friend's house or a stranger's house. She became a friend for $300. And so that thought had crossed my mind, but I didn't end up pursuing it till years later, which I think timing is everything in a business. And I think if I would have started maybe too early, it wouldn't have hit the same clients, the growth that I've had. So I think just like the timing of when I entered the sunless tanning world was just like the perfect timing.
Absolutely. So one thing that I hear from you is like you've always kind of been a hustler at heart since
Mhm.
forever. And
Forever.
I think that's something that, kind of makes a person, in my opinion, like really become successful. And I think that's shown like time after time with your work. And like you even said, like you didn't really give up. And I think that's a really big message for a lot of people, especially a lot of moms who are listening to the podcast. And one thing that I love that you said was that spray tanning, the way that you felt. And I think
Mhm.
that's something we don't talk about enough. Or
Right.
I'm not a beauty girly. I'm not like, for me personally, like I don't like, do the makeup and the hair and all that. But a spray tan, I am all of a
Yeah.
sudden the baddest bitch you'll ever
Yeah.
meet.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing feeling. And I just love that. And I think that that's the one thing that like no other beauty service, in my opinion, makes you feel as good as a spray tan does. And it's just this immediate confidence booster. And I think and that's why I say it's more than just a spray tan. It's a feeling, right? It's a way
Mhm.
you feel for that week or 2 weeks, as long as it lasts. So I think that that's amazing.
I love that. And, okay, then when you started your spray tan business, right, and you're like going fully into it, where was that turning point when you decided you're going to leave everything else behind as far as like your full-time job, anything else you're going on, and just primarily focus on your business? At what point did
Yeah,
you reach for
so
that to happen?
believe it or not, it actually wasn't until COVID that I decided that it was time for me to quit my full time job. So I was
Mhm.
literally working full time building Dolce Glow in Sunny Bay, which is our new sister brand, while working my full time job. And I would just really do it at night and on the weekends, and tan at night, tan on the weekends, available obviously for my daytime job, and I was still able to get employee of the year there while managing this. And so,
Whoa.
I think when people come to me and they're like, I want to quit my full-time job, and I always say like, take time, like don't rush, because what the beautiful thing about spray tanning is such a quick service, and you can knock it out pretty quickly and do a few tans an evening and call it a night. And the beautiful thing is when you're working the corporate job, you have stability, right? And so
Mhm.
sometimes you might not see clients for a few weeks or a few months or once a year. And so it's hard to kind of immediately get that traction, and it takes years to build. So I think for me, that was like such a blessing that I was able to have like a stable income and monitor that for a really long time and see the traction, and just see that every week I would get a new client and it was building. And it wasn't until, Dolce Glow really took off also on the product side of things, and then both the
Mhm.
spray tanning world, that I was like, okay, this feels good enough to, obviously quit my full-time job. And, I still think about it till this day. It was one of the best companies I've ever worked for. I had one of the best bosses in the world that I had ever had, and she really supported me and still does, and Dolce Glow and Sunny Bay. So I think for me, it took years to be able to find that stability and be able to feel comfortable to be like, okay, it's time for me to put all my eggs in one basket, and that's Dolce Glow and Sunny Bay, and be able to just make this huge. And I realized I was at a point where I was being pulled in so many different directions, and it was consistent enough to where I felt like, okay, it's time to close one chapter and really put my all my eggs in another, and obviously the Dolce Glow and Sunny Bay basket.
100%. No, I love that. And I feel like it had to take a second, but you got there. So, don't
Totally.
yeah, don't rush it for those who are ready to make that move, but they're not quite sure.
Yeah,
I
it
feel like,
takes time. And I hear that so much from students that I've trained, from people, do I have to hire a social media manager? Do I need this? Do I need that? I'm like, it takes time. You can't expect a business overnight to you have a million clients, or you're selling millions of items. Whether it's a makeup line or skincare line, it takes time. And
Mhm.
I think you just have to be patient. And I do believe timing is everything in your business as well.
100%. I'm curious, how did you grow clientele during COVID since like everything was like locked down and nobody was
Yeah.
going nowhere?
So prior to COVID, I had already, I mean, at this point, I was 4 to 5 or 5 years in at this point before
Okay.
like COVID. I think COVID was around 2020. So 5 years in, I had a stable clientele already at that point. So it wasn't until
Mm.
5 years after I started spray tanning to where I'm like, okay, I need to, make this a full-time thing. Um, and so at that point, some of my clients, I think the first month it was like dead, like there was nothing. And I think they started to kind of say, okay, you can be out. I don't even remember, but some of my clients still had productions that were going on that I would, do, and we'd mask, we'd COVID test, tons of precautions. And then once I started to allow people to kind of get back to their jobs, but with certain precautions, that's kind of what we did. And there's actually a picture I remember that Kim and I had posted, God, years ago. And I was wearing my, mask because that's what we had to do, right? That's when everybody was masked. So
Totally. Oh my God. Oh, I love that then. Okay. So like at the end of the day, the hustle didn't stop. And like I'm not even gonna
no,
lie, I was still
no,
doing a
no.
lot of stuff during
Yeah, and
COVID.
we had actually one of our best years because we launched our self tanning line, I think a year after COVID,
Oh, okay.
maybe a year, 6 months around there. I have to think about the exact dates, but I know it was still during COVID because I remember when we had our store opening at the Americana, we did a pop up. We were still in masks. And I
Okay.
believe we launched that February. And so it was probably a year into COVID. And so now it's crazy. We're going on it's 4.5 years since we launched the actual self tanning collection, which is pretty insane.
I know, I love it. So, kind of guide us through your business model. You started obviously spray tanning, right? It was you, spray tan gun, go.
Mhm.
So you built your team, I'm assuming, maybe, and then you also sell spray tan like solution. Like I'm an
Mhm.
artist, so I can purchase from your website and
Right.
like use all these different color solutions, all that. But then you also have at Ulta and other stores, you've got like the
Self
self-applying one.
tans.
Yeah,
Mhm.
self-tanners. I can like literally bake at home in my self-tan. So
Totally.
kind of guide us like how did these steps happen?
Yeah. So obviously, the professional line is like the first thing that, because I was training, I wanted to be able to offer a product that was different, that felt different,
Mm,
that I could talk about, that I believed in. And I think the only way to true success with having your business or spray tanning is having a product that you either believe in, 100%, it's very transparent, very open. And so we knew we wanted to launch our own spray tan solution because I just wanted to learn about the science. I wanted to make it. And there was a request like, what solution are you using? What can all this stuff. And so obviously we actually worked with the cosmetic chemist. We own all of our formulas for our professional line, which is something that is very unique in spray tanning. I feel like a lot of stuff is private labeled, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I just wanted full control. I wanted to
hmm.
know how it's made, how it's baked, where my raw ingredients are being sourced from. I wanted to be able to have full testing, which is another thing that a lot
Okay.
of times when you private label, you don't know if it passed stability, compatibility, if they're even doing additional testing, which is called HRIPT testing, which is dermatology, tested on sensitive skin. I wanted to know that. And I think that when you private label, you don't have that information and they might not be running those additional tests for you. And so for me, I knew I wanted full control and I wanted transparency and I wanted to know how all the ins and outs about it. And so that's what pushed me to hiring a cosmetic chemist to be able to have full control, know what's in it, how it's made, and again, be able to run tests so that when I'm talking about it with my clients, I can stand and say, this product is dermatologist tested. This product is tested on sensitive skin. This product has a 2-year shelf life and it passed stability and compatibility with its preservative systems. Like, and I think for me, that really was like a crucial moment for me. And then, you know, launching that, it's done so well. And that's my first baby. But then there was a request where people were also like, I need access to a spray tan artist, or I don't have access to a spray tan artist, or the spray tan artist that I have moved away. So I want self tanners. And so I saw a gap in the market and I felt like there was really an option for a luxury self tanner that people would love. And then we obviously launched our at home self tanners, and then we, you know, Nordstrom, there's a call from Nordstrom, and then Ulta and Revolve, and now to have, you know, Dolce Glow and now Sunny Bay available in all major retailers across the United States is just like such an incredible moment for me that I definitely still can't believe it's happened. So
I love that. No, that's incredible. Congratulations, honestly. And I was at Ulta the other day because I'm an Ulta girly, and I was like, I need to
yeah,
go get some stuff. And I saw the self tanner, and I was like, that's just brilliant. Because like you said, you found a gap in the market. You found there was a need. There was a need for
there was
something. And you created that, like you're able to provide that to, you know, your customers and to women all over the country. Like I think that's
yeah, and
incredible.
it's really about like I think also building the trust too. Like I was a tan artist first. And then I went into trainings and then I did the professional line and then we did the at-home self tanner. So everything has been a step-by-step process. Like I don't just go into stuff because like I really things are very thought out and the timing for me, right? Like if I would have launched self tanners before the professional solution, it would have been completely different. And so I think everything has had its moment and it's just hit at the right time.
100% agree. So you mentioned like building trust, right? So it's building trust within like your community, right? Of like clients, also in the spray tan industry. And then obviously with the people that you do spray tan. So you have a very large, high profile, right? Celebrity like clientele list. And I think that is beyond incredible. And I feel
Right.
like to get there, that also requires not only hard work, which like I think I know your story on this because the girl that you trained that spray tan me told me, and I was like, no shit, really? But we'll get into that in a second. But you know, but to be able to like build that clientele that you have, I do think is a lot of trust. And correct me if I'm wrong, it might even be a word of mouth kind of trust. So like I want to know too, I'm curious if like is that kind of how you got like your opportunity to kind of get in with like Kim Kardashian, right? Demi Lovato, like was that kind of like how you got in? Because from the story that I heard, and I was like, if this really happened, then this is crazy. I want to say that you told a story at your training about how you were in someone's DMs. I want to say like a maybe one of Kim Kardashian's people. You were in someone's DMs and you're like, hey, like because you're a hustler, and you were like, I want to spray tan you or whatever it was. And I think from there, it's kind of where it started as far as like being able to spray tan so many artists and
Yeah, so
so
with
many celebrities.
Kylie Jenner's actually makeup artist Ariel. So
Oh, fun.
reached out to him and offered him a spray tan, and then that referral came after that. Um, and then, you know, after that, you know, I didn't hear back from her for a few years, and I might have just been filling in for someone at that point that, you know, and I'm totally fine with that. But I just continued to just reach out to people um, and really just offer spray tanning because at this point there wasn't like a lot of options when I had started early on. And so it was domino effect, but it was also a lot of hard work and me just being consistent and persistent and but in a very like I would say like the best way, like I would just offer my tanning services and my phone number. Like you know, and then if they're like, oh, I would love to, then maybe in a few months I would follow up again. Like, hey, just wanted to see if you have anything important coming up. You know, keep me in mind. And so I was always, whether it was obviously getting that first call from, you know, Kylie, and then obviously my clientele has, you know, just, I've been able to work with some of the most influential people in the world. And there's people that I can't even talk about that I get to work with on a daily basis. And I think at this point too, I've reached a moment where I don't care to post every client, every tan, because it's so much more for me than just a spray tan. It's also just the clients are happy. You know, they continue to call me back. I'm not obviously tanning as much as I used to, right? The 10 years ago and the first 5 years, because obviously I'm at the Ultas, I'm at the QVCs, I'm on, podcast or whatever it is, right? I'm being pulled, I'm traveling. I do travel with some of my clients. So if I'm available, great. And if not, like I'll send someone from my team. And if someone from my team isn't available or they want to go with someone else, and that's just kind of how it goes. And I think that's like the beautiful thing about where I'm at in my life too. I just feel very grateful and content where exactly where I'm supposed to be.
100%. I love it. Your story's so incredible. But I think, yeah, exactly what we had said earlier. It's like
everything that could happen did go wrong today, but sausage just spills all over. But I'm gonna have a sip of it regardless.
Oh my God, no, yeah, please have a sip.
It's totally fine.
Oh my God, no, hey, listen, I got my water. I got like
no, you're good. You're good. I'm fine.
Spit up on me.
This is like you learn to just roll with the punches at this point. This is just how it is in like my life and just business, and you're a human, and like you just roll with the punches.
100%. Listen, I know you're so busy, so I will take whatever spills.
My gosh, no, you're so good. I was just talking, I was on another podcast the other day, and I was just talking about how during a spray tan, like there was an air pocket that like not like pop, but it like got clogged, the gun, and it like pushed out, and then it was like freckles all over my client's face, and I was like, you need to go shower, like, and it's just like it's a part of life, like stuff happens, so it's all good.
100%. Oh yeah. I've made like people's necks not look right. It's a whole thing, and I'm like,
oh my God, spray tanning, I always say, is one of the most difficult beauty services in the world.
I agree 100%. But I would say if you hate it, you could, 7 to 14 days, whatever, it's gone. Like,
yeah.
You'll never see it again.
Yeah, it's nothing surgical, obviously, that you can't fix or all that stuff. So I definitely agree with that. But it definitely, everyone's bodies just respond so different to DHA and formulas. And that comes down also to the tan artist, right? Like,
yes.
Did I spray too close, too far? Did I apply too much solution? The client wanted another coat. I gave her the other coat, man. Is that extra coat going to make her look blotchy the next morning? So it's one of those things. I think as spray tan artists, we have it probably a little more difficult because we also don't get to see the client the next morning, or can't fix a wing liner if the client didn't like the wing liner or the lip liner color. You wipe it off and redo it. It's spray tanning. It is what it is. So
100%. No, that's real. Girl, that is so real.
It's so real.
Yeah, but I've noticed that most people come back, so I give myself a pat on the back. I'm like, okay, we did good.
Yeah, and I've had clients, I mean, I talk about this all the time. Like, I'll be tanning someone for 3-4 years straight, and then I'm not available, and then I won't see them for another 3 years, or I'll see them in a year. And it's like, I think that's another thing. Like, when people like take ownership over clients, I'm like, listen, and sometimes it's okay for them to go try other stuff, and they miss you and they come back later. It's just, in LA too, it's so much of that, and you can't always be available 24/7. And I learned that years ago, that I'm just like, clients come, they go, and then they end up eventually coming back, and that's totally fine. So
100%. Well, I love this, and I hope that any mom listening too, like who wants to tap into the spray tan industry and give it a try and make a couple dollars, right? Or maybe eventually transition it to their full time.
It all adds up. Let me tell you, the extra cash, and that's the way I still look at it sometimes. Like, I might have an open night, and then I have a few clients that call, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you just made a quick, $200-$300 or whatever it could be, or even $50. Like, had a client the other day that, came to my house, and, it was just, I wasn't going to charge her, but she left me $50. I'm like, hey, that's like a grocery run. That's, maybe filling up some of my gas tank now, but that's the way I look at it, right? Everything adds up, and whether it's $40, $50, $100, $300, it adds up. And especially if it's a side hustle, it's extra money you weren't counting on, which is the beautiful thing about our industry.
100%. I love it. So now you're a mom of a daughter, and I am too. So like gay girl moms, I feel like I wouldn't know what I do if I didn't have a girl. I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be fine with a boy, but I'm always like, yay, I have a girl because I
Yeah.
love a girl, and I'm
They're
probably
so
one and
special.
done. Yes, exactly. It's like so special. So, how are you able to run your business, right? And do all that you're doing? And you literally mentioned you're like, like you're spray tanning, maybe not as much, but you're running the business, you have a team, you travel sometimes, you're doing everything. And then being a mom on top of that, which is incredible. So, how do you balance kind of both? And how old is your daughter now?
My daughter's 10.
10. Okay.
So it's just crazy to say she's 10. But I think,
Yeah.
it truly is. Unfortunately, you can't be 100% to everyone and everything, right? So there's going to be certain things, whether it's in business, your family, friendships, that aren't always going to be perfect all the time. But I think, especially this year with Mia, I've really like, she just started cheerleading and she's a competitive cheerleader. And so like, I made sure to like, when I get her schedule, I put all her open houses, all her parent conferences, all her cheerleading stuff all on my calendar. And I specifically will tell the team, like, I cannot be booked during this time. Or if I am traveling somewhere, you have to book a flight back. So I'm back on time for her competition. So it's really just like relying also on my team to help me navigate the schedule changes and stuff. But Mia is like my first priority, and the business is second. And I think that that's one thing about like family, but it is a sacrifice, right? So traveling can be a little hectic sometimes, and I've learned, I think this year more than anything, like it's okay to say no when you can't be there, or if you're too tired, or if you're you have something scheduled because you haven't seen your daughter for 3 days, and then someone calls you for a spray tan, and I'm like, you know what, I haven't seen my daughter for 3 nights because I was out at QVC or whatever. So and so needs a spray tan tonight. You know what, I'm going to text my client, hey, I just got home from let's just say New York. I'm going to send my right hand tonight. If that's okay, I'm going to spend some time with Mia. And they're so understanding and they get it. And so I think it's all about like finding that communication, that balance, but also being like, I would say, easy on yourself to just understand that you can't be 100%. And there's days that I lack as a mom. There's days I lack as a wife. There's days I lack as a business owner, as a CEO. You can't be perfect in everything, but it's like understanding that life has this beautiful way of working itself out and things will always fall into place, and you have your good days and your bad days. But also, I think staying in a position of gratitude will help you get through those harder days, right? To where, like, I think if you train your mind to be negative and you're, just, I don't know, whatever it is, right? But I think for me, I try to be like, oh my gosh, well, I'm not going to complain because like this, I could have never even dreamed of this life. So I think I always try to, as best as I can, remain in a place of gratitude and looking at what I do have rather than what I don't have.
Absolutely.
And that helps me maintain balance throughout my entire family life and being a mom. And, there's nights where I have to take Mia with me. And, I tell my client, hey, Vinny's away, or my husband, obviously having a very supportive husband is extremely helpful during this. But he's also very heavily involved in the business. So if he's doing something with the business, I'll say, hey, Chrissy, like I, have to bring Mia tonight. Do you mind if she comes? And she's like, oh my gosh, no, so there's been times where Mia comes and helps me, and that's what you got to do. So you get both mom time, and then she gets to see you work hard, and then she also gets to help you, and you get to be available for your clients. So it's all about balance. I think just talking it out and communicating with, whether it's a client, your child, talking to Mia, whatever, it'll all fall into place.
Oh, I love that, and I agree. I love that you bring me out because I don't know, I feel like
Yeah.
moms
Oh,
do
she's
the
come
same
with me
thing.
so many places and my clients' houses and all that. So I try to take her as much as I can. And she really, really loves that.
So cute. Is she showing any interest in the beauty industry, the sunless beauty industry?
She not sunless, so she likes obviously self tanning and stuff because she's a cheerleader. But she's actually has a few ideas for herself, and so I definitely think she'll be some sort of entrepreneur, or end up in sports. She's extremely athletic as well, so she definitely loves beauty. And I think, you know, when the time's right, she'll do something that she wants to do. And I'm really excited for her, whatever that time. So we'll support her in that. So
Oh, you cut out. I'm so sorry. You said she wants to do what? You said when the time is
yeah,
right.
so I do think that Mia will end up being in beauty at some point. Not sure exactly like what in beauty, but I do think that she'll end up in beauty or end up being an athlete. She's super athletic. So, but when that time is right for her, I think she'll end up um, doing one or the other, or maybe a combination of both.
I love that. And what's like your favorite part about being a mom?
I just love, I mean, I think for me, it's to be able to, it's one, it's love like you've never felt before. And I don't think, and I think being able to give that love that I also didn't have growing up to this beautiful human that like you created, that's like literally your heart and soul and your whole being. And I think for me, it's like being able to love someone that's my own and being able to give her a life that I didn't have growing up. And I'm super honored and I just feel so blessed to have her, you know, and to be her mom. And I feel like, you know, I do feel like she was perfectly chosen for me.
100%. Oh, I love this. You make me cry. I'm like, I just
Thank
love when
you.
moms like share these kind of moments. I think they're like
Yeah.
so special and
I
there's
mean,
no other
there's truly
feeling.
no better love. And there's you don't I truly believe you don't know what love is until you have your kids. Like
Yes.
I think the way you love your brothers, your sisters, your parents, your friends, your husband, but like when when you birth a child, or you know, obviously, or just there's so many obviously beautiful ways of having kids now. But for me, like being able to feel her like move inside of me and have those moments, and you know, obviously deliver her and hold her in my arms and have that skin to skin contact, and you're like, this little human was made in me is like the most beautiful thing. And I think, you know, women, we don't give ourselves enough that it's like, it's obviously one of the most challenging things is to carry a baby. And there's a lot of stuff that can happen or go wrong, or like, I didn't have the easiest delivery with her.
Oh,
But it's the most rewarding gift that you'll ever receive in life is your children.
100%. So it seems like she was on the younger side when you started your business. So
Yeah.
how were you kind of able to do that with like I'm assuming she was maybe like 3, 4, 5 years old?
Yeah, literally. I think she was like 6, 7 months into when I started like spray tanning or starting my spray tanning business. So that's how I know she's 10, my business is 10 years old.
Yep.
So it's just it's wild to me that like it was just like the perfect timing. I felt like she came, but my husband obviously has been very supportive, very involved with everything with her. And so if I was tanning, she was in the back seat of the car seat and he was driving me to my appointment. So like we've done the hustle. And that's when we had only like one car. You know, we had one car. He would pick me up, he would drop me off. My daughter would be in the car seat. Like we really sacrificed a lot when we started the business and we didn't have a lot, but those were some of the most beautiful times.
Oh my gosh. I love it. But the thing is like having a baby, like people don't understand like, well, if you don't have one, but it's just like 6 months is such a like fun, age. Like they're like all cute and chubby and like fun and stuff like that. But then it's like when you gotta go to work or you gotta like do that, like there's so much guilt that at least I felt too, even when I was spray tanning or just like I work in radio, so like going to work and like I went back to work. I'm so bad. I'm so bad. I was like 6 weeks postpartum. This was by choice. I was
Yeah.
like getting back into work. And even with spray tanning, I was like in my diaper, like bending over and spray tanning people, right? Because I'm like trying to
Yeah.
get like their
Right.
legs and everything. It was tough,
Oh
but
yeah.
I'd come home to this little ball and just be so happy,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
that's the most beautiful thing. I think that I remember, you know, those days too. And it's just, it's such a beautiful thing, but it's also like you just want to be at home. But I think for us, because again, like we didn't have anything extra, we were really struggling. My daughter was actually born with a protein and soy allergy. And
Mm.
I actually don't even think I've shared this story ever before, but um, when she was born, I was breastfeeding her for the first 3 weeks,
Mhm.
and I started to see blood in her stool.
Um,
And at that point, we took her to a gastro doctor, and turns out she had an allergy to soy and protein. So protein was like one thing, but like soy is like in even like garlic salt. Like there's soy in everything. And so like I would have to go on like the most bland diet, like have like rice and vegetables. Like it was just a crazy thing. So then she had to be on a prescribed formula that you could only get with a prescription. So,
Yeah.
and she couldn't be on any other store-bought sensitive stomach because she had such an interesting allergy that it was prescription, and my insurance at the time didn't cover it. And but everybody else's insurance covered it, but mine didn't. It was $50 a can, and we would go through 4 cans a week. So it was $200 a week that we had to pay just in the formula, which is $800 a month. I
Oh
was
my God.
buying these cans on Craigslist from people whose insurance was covering it and they had extra cans available. I was buying them off of Craigslist to offset some of the balance that I would buy from the pharmacy. And at that point, it was such a risk because I'm like, what if this formula was like, mixed with something else? You don't know who you're getting it from, but like I had no choice. And so we were really struggling. And so we had like no money, like paying $800 on top of a babysitter, my husband working, me working, like living, having one car, like barely getting by. Like we literally had nothing. And then to have Mia with this such a crazy allergy that she was medically prescribed this prescription that our insurance denied. I remember crying on the phone with the insurance companies, begging them to approve because she couldn't be on anything else. And it's funny enough, my twin sister's kids had the same allergy, so it was a genetic thing. And so she would also give me extra cans of this. It was called Pyramino at the time. I'll never forget, of the cans to be able to offset. And I knew her insurance covered it, but mine didn't. And so these are the things, like the really moments that led me to wanting to have a side business and a side hustle, was because we're barely getting by. And then we get hit with an extra $800 in medical. Like this is all she could eat to survive. Like it was just really tough times. And I think, that's why our business has grown year after year. It's because we have this desire to push through, and even in like the really hard times, which is like such a crazy story when I think about how far we've come.
Absolutely. Reflection is so important, and God is so good. So
He is.
I am so like, first of all, I'm so intrigued by your story because I think a lot of moms can relate to it, whether it's baby formula, right? Or even just like, feeding your kids. Like shit is tough sometimes, you know what I mean? And at that time you're like, we were struggling, this is what we were going through. And I think that resonates with so many people, especially with baby formula being $50 a fucking can.
Yeah,
Like
and this
I
was 10
still
years ago. And I couldn't get it. You can't just go to Walmart. You couldn't just go to Target. And it wasn't the ones that were locked up. This is a medically prescribed prescription.
Right.
That was very specific. So it was, and that was the cost for us, was $50 a can, which we would go through 4 of them a week. And so that was $200 a week. And then multiply that times a month. I mean, we're talking almost an extra $1,000 a month that we were not planning on. And so I think, this is why spray tanning has been such a beautiful business for me. It's because it's completely changed my life.
100%. Oh my God. Well, thank you for sharing that. And
Of course.
again, I think like you're so blessed all around, with
Thank
your daughter,
you.
family, business, life. And I feel like there's just so much more that's going to come your way. I do believe in, people's blessings multiplying.
I do too. I'm so grateful to God. And I think without like my faith and like just being, having such a great relationship that I have with God, and I think that He's really blessed me with a beautiful life now. I think I struggled a lot the first 17 years of my life and early on in our marriage. But I'm so grateful, and I just see year after year the growth in the businesses, and taking certain risks that I probably wouldn't have taken before. And it's just been so great to see the growth, and I just know it really comes from God.
100%. And what about like as far as what's next for you? I know you've got some classes coming up in different
Yeah.
cities. People can get certified by you.
Yeah.
My goal is to eventually do that when like I'm
Oh,
able
you'll
to
have
like
to
slow
come.
down.
Yeah.
I want to. I'm like I need to update my certification, but I also like
Yeah.
want to go with you because like I said, like
Oh,
I love your story. I think you're amazing
thank
and
you. Thank
you
you.
do amazing work, you know. So
Thank
everyone that's
you.
spray tan meets and trained by you,
Yeah,
10 out of
totally.
10. So of
Thank you. Thank you. That
course.
makes me so happy. We're just continuing to, in terms of growth, really focusing on innovative products and formulas, continuing to expand our retail partnerships. People have no idea what retail partnerships, what that means, what that looks like. They think it's easy. You go into stores. I mean, it's one of the most challenging things. And product development and all that stuff. So just continuing to just bring breakthrough formulas, I think, to the market, continuing to, build spray tan artists and building that business as well. And, obviously just being present as much as I can with my daughter and the growth of the business. But really, again, just continuing to introduce spray tanning in the education, continuing to hone in on that. We have our
Mhm.
Dolce Glow Summit coming up in January, which this is our third year doing. And so it's really such a small, intimate business summit. So lots of little cool things and just trying to do stuff that's a little different. Like I think we see a lot of growth in beauty and, Kosas and Summer Friday, some of my favorite brands. And um, I really think there hasn't been so much of that in sunless tanning. So I think Dolce Glow really, we want to give like what people see in beauty, whether it's pop-up experiences, stuff like that. We've been trying to do more of that with Dolce Glow,
Mm,
because there really hasn't been a sunless tanning brand, if you think about it, that does
right.
stuff like this. Maybe there's one or two brands, but it's our industry is really not as big as like makeup and hair care and stuff like that. So I think for me, I want to continue to do more experiences for the community and just break some walls down that maybe people would have never tried self tanners if they didn't have a certain experience. So really continue to just bring more community events and stuff like that.
Oh, I love it. Well, keep me posted for sure.
I will.
Oh my gosh, yes. And then well, before we like follow you on Instagram and make sure we keep
Yeah.
up with your Dolce Glow, if you had one piece of advice for any mom, right, who is thinking of starting a side business, preferably, a spray tan business, which we highly recommend.
Yeah.
But if a mom is, finding herself kind of in the thick of it and she's going through it, whether it's like financially, right, maybe she's not feeling spiritually even aligned with God at that moment, but this mom needs to power through to continue
Yeah.
to build her business. What advice would you give her?
I think that, what? You won't know I think you won't know until you try, right?
Mm.
The longer you wait, the more doubt that that's going to create. And so if there is an idea that comes to you, whether it's spray tanning, whatever it is, I say you try it. And if financially you can't take a class or whatever, I always tell people like reach out. They might offer payment plans. They might, offer a scholarship. There's so many different things that I've done for so many people to be able to just get them in the class because I know that they might be down to their last few dollars. And I'm like, hey, we'll break this out in a few payments for you.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that don't just assume that you can't do it. There's always a way. And so I think just taking that first step is the hardest. And so I really recommend that you take that first step and, do your research, but don't wait too long because time can pass. And
Yes.
I'm a huge believer when that idea comes to you, it comes to you for a reason. And I do think, um, really timing is everything in a business. And so I do think once that idea comes to you, I recommend just know that that came for a reason. And so I think that, obviously you want to do your research and all that, but just um, take your time, but also listen to your gut never lies. And so if your gut's saying that this is your time, trust your gut. I tell everyone that trust your gut because the
Yeah.
moments that I haven't trusted my gut in business, it'll come back and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I knew in that moment and I ignored the gut. So I say, trust your gut feeling. If you're getting that feeling to do something, do it. And even if you feel like you're not good at it, it takes time and that will come and everything will fall into place. So I think, and even when times get rough, those are the moments you have to push the hardest. And I always say this too shall pass. Right.
Mm.
So I think of that. And, even like my spiritual journey has grown through the years. And, I think if you're curious about God or about your whatever it is, your higher power, everyone has. And I think that that's such a beautiful way to know that there's so many different ways of what people believe, whether it's meditating. For me, it's praying. And so I think that leaning into whatever that higher power feels for you at the time, and it could just be praying to you don't know what, and I just think that being finding, and I think just also training your mind to be positive. I know sometimes it's hard. I mean, I've been through the crazy stuff in my life, but I think it's your outlook and what you put out in the universe. And so I'm a huge believer in manifestation as well. So manifest what you want and manifest that you want a side business, you don't know what it is, and it's going to come to you. So I'm a huge believer of putting out what you want in the universe, and I'm a huge believer that it will come back. So
100%. The universe, God, whatever it is that you are,
yeah,
praying to or believe in,
right.
has your back, but also is always listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love it. Isabel, where can we follow you on social? And then, of course, where can we pick up any self-tanner or, like I said, any spray tan courses that people want to join?
Yeah,
I know you're doing different cities too.
totally. So my Instagram is Isabel Alysa, and dolceglow.com or Sunny Bay Skin. We're available in Ulta's, Nordstrom's, Revolve, QVC, Macy's. So a little bit somewhere near you, you should find Dolce Glow or Sunny Bay. Sunny Bay is exclusively sold at Ulta, so you can find that in Ulta near you, and there's over 1,500 stores, I believe. So
Amazing. Well, thank you for
yeah,
your time today. Thank you for
thank
everything
you
and for
so much for
sharing.
having me. I'm so happy we're able to make it work out.